You ever buy yourself a piece of freedom and think the universe is finally going to leave you alone? That was me 6 years ago, dead set on disappearing off the grid, putting my boots in 97 acres of stubborn Texas dirt surrounded by scrub trees, a couple dozen goats, and the kind of peace you can only buy with your last retirement check and a little bit of sweat. Yeah, I wanted quiet. What I got instead? Well, let's just say trouble knows how to use a GPS, and it damn sure found my gate first with letters, then with boots. I paid cash for this place. Outbid 3 realtors, signed every line at the county myself, spent a year fencing it in mile-by-mile hand-welded steel, 3 miles if you're counting, and built a gate that would make a Fort Knox guard blush. That land was mine, every inch of it, and I thought I'd finally outrun the nonsense. Turns out the nonsense just needed a reason to cross the road. It started with those letters, fancy cream envelopes, reeking of HOA perfume. Dear resident, already got it wrong. I ain't just some resident. I'm the owner, and if you want to talk about alignment, try getting your mailbox out of my business. But these folks, the High Oak View Estates, HOA, they had a president, Karen Delworth, the type who probably alphabetizes her canned goods and thinks goats are just oversized yard gnomes. She didn't like my fence. She didn't like my goats. Hell, she probably didn't like the way the wind blew out here. And she really didn't like that none of it was her concern. First couple letters of fire pit fuel. Then I started saving them just in case. When the 5th one invited me to align with HOA values at their meeting, I sent my own letter back, one line. I am not a member of your HOA. Cease correspondence. That should have been the end of it. Instead, she rolled up in person. Midday sun white blouse, pastel suit face, tighter than a drum. She buzzed my gate like she owned the joint. Mr. Hicks, this is Karen Delworth, president of High Oak View Estates, HOA. We need to speak. I could have laughed. Ma'am, unless your truck's on fire or you're bleeding out, you got no business on this land. That didn't slow her down. Clipboard in hand, she lectured me about visual integrity and shared interests, like I was lowering her property values just by existing. I leaned into the mic and said, "That smell is freedom, Karen. You want roses, plant them on your side." She tried to sweet-talk me into joining. I told her I'd already done my time being part of something bigger, 20 years in uniform. All I wanted now was coffee at sunrise and goat manure at sunset. She snapped a picture of my gate, and I just knew this was only round one. The letters kept coming. She whined about noise, about my solar panels, about a water tank that apparently offended her aesthetic sensibilities. I laughed, put in motion-activated sprinklers for good measure, and then started upgrading the security. Cameras, steel, floodlights. Because, see, I don't like bullies, and I really don't like bullies who think the law is just another word for what they want. Then things got weird. Footprints by my south fence, fresh, not mine, not boots, but thick-soled work shoes. Next thing, a black Ford idling outside my gate, 2 guys in black polos built like linebackers trying to look friendly. They claimed to be from the HOA, just wanted to clear the air. I told them, this is private property. You want friendly, you're on the wrong ranch. Their smiles dropped. One of them warned me that people get real curious when you stand alone out here. Yeah, you got 10 seconds to get off my access road before I let the goats out. That got the message across. Cameras caught it all, faces, plates, the whole deal backed up and triple saved. But Karen doesn't do subtle. 2 nights later, I'm half asleep in the recliner when the alarm pings. Motion at gate 2. Pull up the cameras, 3 men, same truck, one with a crowbar, one blinding a camera, one on his phone. Didn't hesitate. Grabbed the shotgun boots, slipped around back. Let the dark do the talking. I waited until they were banging on the lock. Then bam, floodlights. They froze. I racked the 12-gauge loud, made my warning, and watched panic bloom like bluebonnets. One ran, one twisted his ankle, and all of them tumbled over each other, scrambling for the truck. I kicked their crowbar aside and waved at the camera. Hope you got that, Karen. Turns out the camera got more than that. It picked up Karen's SUV tucked behind the tree line, watching it all go down. That's when I called the sheriff. No waiting for morning, no waiting for coffee. Deputy Sloan showed up. Real Texas law took the footage, the crowbar, the prints, the whole story. but nothing's ever simple. Next day, I get called into the sheriff's office, Karen there in a blue blazer, lawyer at her side, trying to spin this as some midnight security sweep that I aggressively threatened. I laughed. A sweep with a crowbar at midnight, even the deputy almost cracked a smile. That's when her lawyer pulled out a fat folder stamped sealed proving. Part of my property was actually HOA land, courtesy of a 1997 legacy agreement. Looked real, but the seals were wrong, the maps digital when they shouldn't have been. I handed over my own deed signed and sealed years before Karen ever got a say in this county. The deputies started connecting the dots, fraud, forgery, something a whole lot uglier than a fence dispute. A week later, one of Karen's security guys limped into a liquor store, bragged about teaching a farm freak a lesson. Sheriff picked him up and he sang like a church choir, told them Karen paid cash, promised legal cover, even drafted up fake documents to make her grab look legal. Her HOA lawyers cooked up the paperwork, one with a habit of aggressive lawsuits, the other an ex-county clerk with access to all the templates you'd ever need for a little legal magic. Digital signatures, modern timestamps, rookie mistakes that got them all caught. The sheriff called it the biggest can of worms since the water scandal. I called it justice. And I wasn't done. I handed everything footage, forged docs, threat letters to a local reporter before Karen could spin it. When she held her press conference blaming me for threatening community cohesion, my side of the story ran right after hers on TV, me in front of my gate, holding up the deed showing the crowbar marks. I said, if someone thinks they can take what's mine, they better be ready to explain it to a judge. And the county listened. Blogs, podcasts, memes, one with the caption, HOA problems, just add shotgun. Yeah, that happened. Then came the anonymous email, an ex-HOA member, with proof that Karen ordered accelerated coercion against me, written, signed, and time-stamped. That was all my new lawyer, Rebecca Green, out of Dallas, needed to file a civil suit. Trespassing, conspiracy, property damage, defamation, you name it. Sheriff filed criminal charges, fraud, hiring felons, break-in. Karen's security men flipped, her lawyers got nervous, and her board members started distancing themselves faster than a cat at bath time. Public opinion swung. Karen was out as president by a landslide vote, her HOA, the punchline on every land rights podcast. Me? I just wanted peace and a good fence, but now I was the guy people stopped at the feed store to shake hands with. The case rolled on. In court, it was cold sterile, but Rebecca was a force laid out, deeds footage, GPS logs, the crowbar, emails. The judge, sharp as barbed wire, called it what it was, not a dispute, but organized fraud. Biggest twist. A county code guy testified he'd been promised a consulting job if he redrew the boundary to snatch my land. Travis the crowbar man admitted everything, paid to intimidate, told I was unstable, believed the HOA was untouchable. I took the stand, told it straight, all I wanted was to be left alone. But Karen couldn't stand that my freedom meant her control stopped at her own fence. Verdict day, Thursday morning. No drama. Just the judge reading the charges, guilty on all counts. Karen got 4 years probation, $250,000 in fines, banned from HOA boards for life. Her cronies got prison or lost their licenses. The HOA paid me $720,000, liquidated their fund, fired their security, canceled their pool maintenance just to cover it. Karen's house sold in silence, no farewells. I hung a new sign, think your HOA has reach. Try that crowbar again, I'll wait. That should have been the end, right? But then the Texas Landowners' Rights Foundation wrote, asking me to speak on boundaries and the power of saying no. I took the stage and told them peace isn't just quiet. It's a line you hold when everyone else tells you to move. Now tell me, if trouble came to your gate, would you stand your ground? Or would you hand over the keys and hope they go easy? Drop your story below. Let's see how many fence lines get drawn today.